Welcome back to the deep dive. We are we're standing at let's call it a precipice today. It really feels a bit like a cliff edge.
That is a very deliberate choice of words.
Yeah.
I mean, a cliff edge is exactly where we need to be for this.
Yeah, because we've spent the last few deep dives really down in the basement of the psyche.
Right.
We were mapping out the internal architecture,
Oh,
looking at habits and loops and the way the mind traps itself. It was very psychological.
very internal, very inside the skull.
Exactly, very inside the skull. And that was part one of this journey we'd been tracking through the source material.
Right. And if you think of part one as tuning the instrument, tightening the strings and polishing the wood and figuring out how the mechanics of the thing actually work,
Yeah,
then today's about what happens when you finally walk out of the practice room and onto the stage.
because an instrument doesn't exist in a vacuum. You don't tune a guitar just to look at it.
No, you tune it to play in a room with acoustics,
Mm.
maybe with other musicians.
Exactly. We are shifting from that internal architecture to external navigation. We're moving into part two, which the text calls the unseen force and the relational field.
And it covers chapters 25 through 31.
Right. And the question we're trying to answer today is deceptively simple, I think. Once you know how you work, how do you navigate the world out there?
And to set the scene for that, the source material uses this recurring image of the traveler.
Yes, I love this.
And it's not the traveler sitting in a library reading about maps.
Yeah.
It describes the traveler standing at the edge of a cliff.
Hmm.
There's stone underfoot and wind coming off the ocean. It's very physical.
It's visceral, and the text makes a specific point here that the traveler isn't just feeling the wind or the spray, they're sensing a hum,
A hum.
like
Yeah.
a noise. Or how did you read that?
Well, not a noise you hear with your ears. It's a vibration, a current. The source argues that beneath the physical world, the rocks and the water and the wind, there is a substrate, an invisible current of information and energy. And the premise of this entire deep dive is that your life isn't about hacking your way through a jungle with a machete, exerting willpower against everything.
Yeah.
It's about sensing that current and learning to ride it.
Okay, so I'm going to pause you right there.
Yeah.
Because I know our listeners and I know me. And when we start talking about sensing the current or the unseen force, my skepticism radar goes straight into the red.
It sounds a little Star Wars.
It sounds a lot Star Wars. Use the force, Luke.
It does. It absolutely does. And frankly, if you didn't have that reaction, I'd be worried.
So before we lose the pragmatists in the audience, is this magic? Are we talking about mysticism here? Because if the advice is just trust the universe, that's really hard to take into a board meeting.
The source is adamant about this. It is not magic. It is physics. It is pattern recognition. And to bridge that gap, it uses an analogy that I think totally saves us from being pure woo-woo. It uses the analogy of Wi-Fi.
Okay, break that down. How is the universe like a coffee shop Wi-Fi network?
Well, think about the room you are sitting in right now. To your naked eye, it looks empty, right? It's just air and furniture and maybe a cat.
Just a table and a microphone in here.
Right. But if we could switch your eyes to see the electromagnetic spectrum, that room is screaming with data. It is absolutely dense with it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
There are 4K movies streaming through your chest right now. There are bank transactions and encrypted emails and TikToks and entire encyclopedias flying through the air at the speed of light.
Yeah.
The room is saturated with information.
But I can't reach out and grab the movie. I can't feel the email. If I just wave my hand around, I get nothing.
You can't touch it.
Yeah.
But, and this is the crucial part, tell them, the data is objectively there. It is real.
Right.
The only reason you can't access it is that you lack two things, a receiver and a password.
The receiver being a phone or a laptop.
Correct. If you pull out a smartphone, suddenly that invisible field becomes visible. It becomes usable. The force described in these texts works exactly the same way. It claims there's an invisible field of information, intention and energy and opportunity and probability that permeates reality.
Yeah.
And you are the smartphone.
My body is hardware.
Your body is the hardware. And your embodied awareness, that presence we harped on back in part one, that is the tuning mechanism. When you tune the receiver, you pick up the signal that was there the whole time.
So let's play this out. If I'm walking around distracted and up in my head, worrying about tomorrow or rehashing an argument from yesterday, I'm basically a phone in airplane mode.
Perfect analogy. You're in airplane mode. The signal is still there. The opportunity is right in front of you. The connection is available, but you are a brick.
Wow.
You're just an expensive paperweight moving through the world. You're completely isolated.
The text describes the sensation of turning airplane mode off. It talks about a tingling at the fingertips, a sense of aliveness.
Calls it the tuning fork effect. You know that feeling when a heavy bass note hits in a club and your chest vibrates? You feel the resonance.
Yeah, it's physical.
That's the hum. The text argues that once you turn the receiver on, life stops being a gradient and becomes binary. You are either in alignment or you are in misalignment.
I want to drill into this because alignment is another one of those buzzwords. I just need to align my chakras or whatever.
Right.
It gets thrown around in corporate seminars all the time. Let's get aligned on this project. It feels meaningless.
It's totally overused. It's
Yeah.
basically become corporate speak for agree with me.
Exactly. But the source material defines it very specifically. And more importantly, it redefines misalignment in a way that actually made me laugh out loud because it was so painfully accurate.
Oh, the autocorrect analogy.
Yes. Walk us through this because this changed how I looked at my bad days.
Okay, so we usually view struggle or getting blocked as a problem. Like, I want this job, but I didn't get it. Or I want to date this person, but they ghosted me.
Yeah.
We see that as a failure. We see it as us not trying hard enough.
Right. We internalize it.
But the source says, imagine you are typing on your phone. You're frantically trying to type a word. Let's say you're typing duck.
It's always duck.
It's always duck.
Mm.
But your phone system, which has a dictionary and a logic and a predictive algorithm, it keeps changing it. You backspace, you retype, you get angry, you are fighting the operating system.
And usually I'm screaming at the phone. I know what I want to say. Let me say it.
Right. You are convinced you are right.
Hmm.
But in this metaphor, the operating system is the force. It has access to data you don't have. It knows where the sentence is going better than you do.
Wow.
So misalignment, that friction or that grinding gear feeling it, isn't the universe punishing you. It isn't bad luck. It's the universe's autocorrect.
It's saying you are trying to type a life path that doesn't make sense. Let me fix it.
Exactly. It's trying to steer you back to the path of least resistance. But what do? We override it.
Every time.
We force the typo. We push through the friction because our culture tells us never give up and grind harder. So we force the relationship that doesn't work. We take the job that makes our stomach hurt. We constantly override the autocorrect.
And when we override it, we assume that the struggle means we are being heroic. Look how hard I'm working. Look at my hustle.
But the result isn't heroism. It's what the text calls depleted exhaustion.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that.
It distinguishes between good tired and depleted tired. This is a crucial diagnostic.
Okay.
Aligned tired is, I worked hard and I built the deck and my muscles ache and I sleep like a baby. You feel used well.
Right.
Misaligned tired is, I sat in meetings for 3 hours fighting for a bad idea and now I feel like a husk. It's a soul-level drain.
The source suggests a misalignment inventory. It's a quick check-in that you can do. I actually tried it this morning.
Oh, really? How did it go?
Well, it's jarring. The question isn't, is this logical or does this pay well? The question is just, right now, does your life feel like a yes in the chest or a no in the gut?
And it's annoying how fast the body answers that, isn't it?
Instant. Before I could even rationalize it, my stomach was like NOPE.
That's the data. That is the Wi-Fi signal hitting the receiver.
Yeah.
And we spend years ignoring that. No, because it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
We have a mortgage, we have expectations, so we say, shut up, stomach, I have a 5-year plan.
But the stomach usually wins in the end.
Always. The autocorrect will eventually just crash the app if you keep fighting it.
Yeah.
That's what burnout actually is.
Okay, so let's say we stop ignoring it. We turn off airplane mode. We stop fighting the autocorrect. How do we actually read the signal? Because the force doesn't send me a text message saying turn left. It doesn't drop a dossier on my desk.
No, it doesn't speak English. It speaks in dialects.
The 3 dialects.
Right. The source identifies 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the claim is if you want to be a traveler, you have to become fluent in these 3 languages.
Let's take them one by one. Dialect number 1 is intuition.
The internal signal.
Now, this is tricky because I feel like people confuse intuition with anxiety or fear or even just indigestion. How do you know if it's your intuition saying don't go in there or just your social anxiety saying people are scary?
That is the million-dollar question. And the source actually gives a heuristic for this, which is super helpful.
Oh, good.
Anxiety usually screams. It's repetitive. It loops. What if? What if? What if? It lives up in the head and it argues with you.
It's exhausting.
Right. Intuition is different. It's quiet. It's immediate. And it's usually a flat statement. Don't go. Call her. Turn here.
It doesn't argue.
It doesn't argue. It just reports. And physiologically, this is the gut brain. the enteric nervous system.
He was blown away by the stats here in the text. I had no idea the disparity was this big.
It's wild. Your gut has about 100 million neurons. It's basically the size of a cat's brain, lining your digestive tract.
That's insane.
And the processing power difference is staggering. The unconscious body processes roughly 11 million bits of sensory data per second.
11 million.
And your conscious, logical, smart brain,
Okay.
the part of you that thinks it's in charge, it processes about 40 to 50 bits.
That's humiliating.
It's a rounding error. It's basically nothing. So when you walk into a room and you get a bad vibe from a guy that isn't magic,
Right.
that is your supercomputer body analyzing his micro-expressions and his pheromones and the cadence of his voice and the way his pupils dilate. The barometric pressure in the room, 11 million bits.
Wow.
And it's handing you the executive summary, which just says, danger. Meanwhile, your conscious brain is still processing his handshake.
So intuition is really just high-speed data analytics.
Precisely. Is the report arriving before you've opened the file?
Yeah.
The reason we get into trouble is that we demand to see the spreadsheet before we trust the summary.
Oh, that's so true.
We say, give me the logical reason why I shouldn't hire him. And the gut says, I don't have words, I just have the data.
Here.
And we hire him, and 6 months later,
He embezzles the funds.
and you say, I knew it from the start.
Right.
You did know, you just didn't speak the dialect.
Okay, so that's the internal language. Dialect number 2 is external. The text calls this synchronicity.
The world's timing.
And again, we have to distinguish this from basic psychology. The source talks about the red car effect.
Right, confirmation bias. If I decide to buy a red Tesla, suddenly I see red Teslas everywhere. That's not magic. That's just my reticular activating system filtering for red cars.
Right, you're looking for it so you see it.
Exactly. I'm priming my brain to see what I'm looking for.
So what is true synchronicity then? How is it different from just spotting patterns?
True synchronicity is a causal. It's when the external world mirrors your internal state in a way you couldn't possibly manufacture.
Give me an example of that.
It's deciding to buy a red car, and the next morning, the dealership calls you unprompted to offer a refund on a hidden fee you didn't know you paid. And it happens at the exact moment you were stressing about your bank balance.
It's the book falling off the shelf.
That's the classic example. You ask a question internally, and a book falls open to the page with the exact answer. You didn't push the book. The world responded.
The source lists the 4 phases of synchronicity: information, connection, confirmation, and obstruction. And the one that hit me the hardest was number 4, obstruction.
Oh, we hate obstruction.
We really hate it. We want the green light synchronicity. I want the parking spot to open up right when I pull in.
Of course.
But the source says the door slamming in your face is also a clear signal.
It's the autocorrect again. Access denied is a very clear message.
Yeah.
The traveler's mindset has to shift from, why is this happening to me, to, what is this preventing me from walking into?
Oh, that's good.
Maybe you didn't get on that flight because you weren't supposed to be in that city today. Maybe the deal fell through because the partner was going to be an absolute nightmare.
So it's trusting that no.
Which is incredibly hard when you have an ego.
Yeah.
When you just want to win. But the obstruction is often the force saying, I love you too much to let you do this stupid thing.
So we have intuition, which is internal, and synchronicity, which is external. Dialect number 3 is, well, it's a little weird. Timelessness.
This is the state of flow.
And the analogy here is the live stream versus buffering.
I use this all the time now. It's so helpful. Most of us are living in a buffered reality.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, if you are dwelling on the past regret or nostalgia or thinking, what did he mean by that? Or why did I say that stupid thing in 2004? You were watching a recording.
Right.
It's old data. You aren't actually here.
And if you're anxious about the future, like, what if I lose my job? Or what if the market trashes?
Then you're watching a simulation, a predictive model. It hasn't happened yet. Your brain is just generating the scenarios.
So where does timelessness come in?
Timelessness, pure presence, is the only time you are watching the live feed. Unprocessed reality.
Okay.
And the source says, you're in this dialect when time literally dilates. You look at the clock and 3 hours have gone by in what felt like 10 minutes.
That happens to me in deep work, or sometimes in sports.
Or deep conversation.
Yeah.
You forget to eat. You forget you even have a body. That's not checking out. That is checking in. You aren't thinking about the moment. You are the moment. The latency is entirely gone.
Wow.
So the takeaway here is that the force is constantly broadcasting on these 3 channels. Channel 1 is gut feeling. Channel 2 is weird coincidences and blocked doors. And channel 3 is The warping of time.
And if you are blind and deaf to all three,
Good luck.
you're just hacking through the jungle with a machete again.
And you're going to get extremely tired.
Which brings us to a major shift in how we see our role in all of this. Because if we aren't the solo hero hacking the jungle, what are we?
Right.
The source draws a comparison between a classical orchestra and a jazz ensemble. And I think this metaphor explains so much of our modern anxiety.
It really does. Think about how we are taught to view success from day one. There is a plan, a
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
Go to school, you get the degree, you get the job, you get the mortgage, you have the 2.5 kids.
It's sheet music. It was written long before I got here.
It's sheet music. And in a classical orchestra, there is a conductor. Maybe that's your boss or society or your parents or fate. And your job is to play the note exactly as written.
And if you deviate, if you play a distinct note or you try to improvise...
It's a mistake. You ruin the performance. Everyone glares at you.
Exactly. Deviation is error. And that creates a life of just rigid anxiety. Am I doing it right? Is this where I'm supposed to be by age 30?
We're terrified of playing a wrong note.
But the traveler doesn't play in an orchestra.
No, the traveler plays jazz.
I love this.
In a jazz ensemble, there is structure. There's a key signature and a tempo. It's not total anarchy. But the melody, that is emergent.
Emergent.
The source paints this picture of the traveler walking into a jazz club. The musicians don't know what's going to happen next. They haven't rehearsed the solo. They are actively listening.
And there's a specific rule in improv jazz, isn't there? There are no wrong notes.
Miles Davis said it best. He said, it's not the note you play that's the wrong note. It's the note you play afterwards that makes it right or wrong.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So if you hit a weird, dissonant note in life, a breakup or getting fired or a big failure, you haven't ruined the score. You haven't failed at life. You've just introduced a new tension.
Right.
The question is, can you resolve it? Can you play the next note that turns that dissonance into a really cool key change?
That requires so much more trust than following a script, though. It feels so much safer to just follow the script.
It feels safer, but it's brittle. If the script breaks, you're totally lost.
Yeah.
In jazz, if the script breaks, that's just the bridge. You have
Yeah.
to be fully online. You have to be listening to the other players.
The source lists 4 elements for playing your part in this ensemble. 1 is know your instrument. 2 is stay present. 3 is respond authentically. And 4 is trust the structure.
Yeah.
I want to talk about number 3 for a second. Respond authentically. Play your note.
This is the ultimate antidote to people-pleasing.
Tell me more about that.
Well, if you are in a jazz band and you're holding a trumpet, but you try to sound like the guy on the saxophone because you think people like him better, you ruin the music.
Yeah, the band doesn't need 2 saxophones.
Exactly. It needs the trumpet. Even if the trumpet is loud and brassy and weird, the source argues that the universe has a gap shaped exactly like you.
Wow.
And if you contort yourself to fit someone else's gap, your spot stays empty.
The quote from the text is, authenticity is not selfishness. It is your contribution to the ensemble.
Okay.
That's a massive reframe.
It changes everything. It means being you isn't an ego trip. It's your literal job. The band needs your sound. If you don't play it, the music is incomplete.
But to play that note, we have to keep our instrument ourselves basically up to date. And this leads to maybe the most practical part of the source material for me.
The living update.
Yes, the concept of the living update. Because we are so obsessed with arriving, I'll be happy when I lose the weight. I'll be fixed when I go to therapy for a year.
Destination myth. Version complete. We all think there is a version of us that is finished and polished and never has to struggle ever again.
But the source says you are software. There is no final version.
Imagine if Microsoft released Windows
Yeah.
and said, okay, that's it, no more updates. It is perfect forever.
It would be unusable in 6 months.
Exactly. Security threats change.
Mm.
The environment changes. New apps come out. You are exactly the same. You are a living operating system. The goal isn't to be finished. The goal is to be current.
I love the breakdown of the update cycle in the text. There are 5 phases: awareness, friction, experiment, integration,
Yeah.
and recalibration. I
Yeah.
really want to focus on phase 2, friction. Because when I try to change a habit, let's say I'm trying to be less defensive or I'm trying to wake up early, it feels awful. It feels clunky and fake.
It feels like a glitch. You feel like a total fraud.
And I usually interpret that feeling as I'm failing. I shouldn't do this. I should just go back to the old way.
Right? We all do. But the source says friction is the install bar.
Explain that.
When you install new iOS on your phone,
Mm-hmm.
what happens? The phone gets hot, it slows down, the apps crash, the screen goes black for a minute.
Yeah, you panic a little.
Right, but that isn't failure. That is the system rewriting itself. You are overwriting old neural pathways with new ones. That takes a massive amount of energy.
Okay.
So when you feel that awkward, I don't know who I am right now, feeling, do not abort the install.
That is such a huge relief to hear because I usually abort the install. I go back to the old version because it's comfortable.
It's familiar, but the old version is obsolete. You have to sit in the friction. It reframes the struggle from I'm broken to I'm loading.
I'm not broken, I'm just buffering.
Exactly. Give it a minute. Let the bar reach 100%.
But we can't reboot if the hardware is off. And this brings us to embodiment. Because the source says the traveler often wakes up realizing they are living neck up.
I think 90% of the modern world lives neck up.
Yeah.
We treat our bodies like taxis for our brains. Just get my head to the meeting and then get my head to the couch.
So how do we actually stay online? The source gives us the fivefold path of embodiment.
Sensation, breath, movement, stillness, and expression.
I want to touch on stillness because the text notes this is the hardest one for modern people. By far.
It's terrifying. Pascal said, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone.
So true.
When you stop moving, the noise floor drops.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly you hear the signal, you hear the intuition, you hear the sadness you've been outrunning, you hear the actual truth.
It's so much easier to just keep moving, keep busy.
It's easier to scroll TikTok for 4 hours than face 5 minutes of that silence. But stillness is diagnostic mode.
Right.
You can't run a deep virus scan while you're streaming 4K video. You have to stop everything else.
So the advice is literally sit down, shut up, listen.
Even for just 5 minutes a day, it recalibrates the receiver.
And this leads us to the final piece of the puzzle in part 2. We've tuned the instrument, which is us. We've learned the dialects. We're updating the software.
Now you have to deal with other people.
Right. The relational field.
The Wi-Fi between us.
The text says the space between two people is not empty, it is alive.
And we have actual science for this now. Mirror neurons. Entrainment.
How does that work in practice?
Well, if you walk into a room and you are intensely anxious, your heart rate is high and your breathing is shallow, you are broadcasting a signal.
Okay.
And my nervous system, if I'm near you, will actually pick that up and start to match it.
We co-regulate.
Or co-dysregulate.
Right.
This is why one toxic person can ruin a whole office without saying a single word. They are broadcasting a threat signal into the field, and everyone else naturally tightens up.
The source gives us 5 signals to read the field.
Yeah.
Resonance versus dissonance, safety versus threat, clarity versus confusion, drain versus charge,
Hi.
and presence versus performance.
Yes.
And the most useful one for me is drain versus charge. The text calls it the aftermath test.
It is the only test that really matters. We so often judge relationships by how they look on paper or how long we've known the person.
Well, we justify it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the source says judge by the energy, hang out with someone, then 20 minutes after you leave them, check your battery.
Do a diagnostic.
Do you feel expanded? Do you have new ideas? Are you humming? Or do you feel like you need a nap and a hot shower?
And if it's the latter?
Trust the data. That is a misaligned field. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean you have to judge them or cancel them.
Right.
It just means the Wi-Fi creates interference between the two of you. The connection costs more energy than it generates.
It's back to the binary state, alignment or misalignment.
Always. You just can't afford too many draining fields if you're trying to run high-level software.
Right.
It'll deplete your battery entirely.
Wow. We have covered a massive amount of ground today. I mean, from the Wi-Fi of the force to the jazz of life to the install bar of change.
It's a lot of process.
It really is. So if there's one thing, one final provocation you want the listener to take away from this dive into part 2, what is it?
I think it's the realization at the very end of the text. The traveler looks out at the city. They see all these millions of lights and millions of people and millions of updates running simultaneously.
Yeah.
And they realize, I am not a tiny dot in a big world. I am the world expressing itself as a dot.
Oh, man.
You are the universe learning to be you. So the question isn't, will I survive this? The question is, what song is the universe trying to play through me right now?
That's beautiful.
And do I have the courage to play it, even if I don't know the sheet music?
That's the real work, isn't it? Listening to the hum.
Absolutely.
We'll keep the receiver open, everyone. The update is ready to install. Are you running it consciously? Thanks for diving in with us today.
See you out in the field.